Today, we'll start first topic in ethics syllabus. If you remember, the first topic is ethics and human interface. Now, as you might have seen in recent year papers, usually now direct questions are not coming from one topic because now they have a method of asking indirect questions, or maybe two, three topics combined they are asking. But the study of these topics will definitely make the concepts clear, which we may use while answering maybe the theoretical answers or even the case studies. Uh, Today, anyway, I'm going to take up the first topic, but I would also like to invite the suggestions from the students as to what they want actually, because I'm taking philosophy classes also. So in philosophy, they are now more demanding regarding the PYQs or the strategy to write good answers. So all these things they are asking. So in ethics, what you want, you have to tell me, maybe in comment section, maybe directly to me through WhatsApp, or through mail also you can say. So that I will accordingly modulate my classes. So today, anyway, we'll take up this first topic. Case studies. I have already taken a number of case studies, maybe which are inspired by current affairs or uh, other case studies from other topics also, which have already been previous. I mean, videos have been posted on YouTube channel also. So from there also you can access. So now let us try to start today's section, uh, ethics and human interface. Now this we will be studying in basically uh, a number of subsections will be there, so that we will be covering it. Now, the main, I mean, what is basically the, or what we want to understand from this topic, or what UPSC wants to understand, because ethics and human interface. Because see, as a human being, and if you see the, I mean, UPSC as a administrator, as a civil servant, you have to face so many situations, and at each situation, at each place, how ethics intersects with that. So that is basically to be understood from this. However, as a normal human life also, a human being also, even if you are not an administrator, even if you are not a civil servant, then also you face so many situations where ethical decisions needs to be taken, or your decision making is influenced by various uh, factors which form your ethical behavior. So all those things perhaps we will be trying to study in this topic. So basically, the as I told, the stress is on foundation of ethical decision making in public life. What are the basic determinants? What are the basic foundations of ethical decision making, particularly in public life? Because in private life, usually, I mean, the civil servants' private life is not concerned. But anyway, in private life also, ethical decisions are required. But here we will be studying the foundations of ethical decision making in public life. Public life means the life which affects public, that is administration, or basically your any duty which affects public. I mean, in any job you are interacting with public. So particularly civil servants, they keep on interacting. So this is what. Now this will be dividing in a number of subsections. So first is essence, determinants, and consequences of ethics in human action. Now this is first thing, first subtopic. Now what is essence of ethics? What is basically ethics actually? So most of you may be already knowing it. Here just in a way to revise it, I'm telling. See, ethics is uh, doing something right, or taking a decision for doing something right, even if nobody is monitoring you, even if nobody is watching you. So ethics is basically study of how human beings should behave, and it includes what is the right thing to do, what should one act when rules are unclear, because usually when rules are clear, you cannot deviate, you have to follow the rules. But in many cases in administration, rules will be unclear. So then what you have to do, how you have to decide, or as it is said, uh, when there are two, you have to select between two rights. One option is also right, other option is also right. Which one you will select? Because if clearly options are right and wrong, then definitely you will select right. But then there may be two options, for example, long term and short term benefit. For example, let us say uh, this generation benefit or intergenerational benefit. What will you select? So all those things are included in ethics. Then another, what is morally appropriate in a given situation? So these questions basically are governed by ethics. Now, see, sometimes people confuse between legal and ethical. But all those things which are legal may not be ethical. I mean, this we should understand. And this is where the problem lies basically. Because even though your action might be supported by law, but still it may not be ethical. So ethics basically goes beyond the law. A law may permit something, but ethics may not permit that, or ethics may ask to do something else. So now, why ethics matters in public life so much? Why? Because anyway, UPSC has included in the syllabus, and why it matters basically. So the reason is civil servants, that is administrators, often face ambiguous situations, as I told, because there is no clarity what should be done. Then there is a political pressure. Then conflict of duties will be there. There will be two rights which you have to select. Then resource constraints will be there. So you have to prioritize basically. You have to take a decision how you have to spend the resources so that best benefit comes. So in these moments, basically what happens, ethics guides to act in public interest and not in personal interest. So this is why ethics matters in public life. Now, ethics, what is ethics? I mean, in brief, if we want to understand, doing the right thing in right way for the right reason. Or another definition is doing right thing, as I told already, doing right thing when nobody monitors. So it's not that anybody is monitoring, still you are doing right thing only. Now, what are various key philosophical insights which govern various decisions or various theories of ethics? We will try to briefly understand that also, because in fact, one class I have already taken where number of ethical theories I have explained, and in future also I will take. But here also in this chapter also briefly we will understand that what are various philosophical influence on ethical theories basically. So first and most very important is Immanuel Kant. He has given a duty-based ethics theory. Duty and universality. Now what Kant said, act only on that rule which you want to become a universal rule. This is the statement from Kant. Now what is meaning? If you cannot justify an action for everyone, you shouldn't do it at all. So I've included some examples also, just relevant examples for civil servants, for public administration. So here, for example, a civil servant refusing bribery, because if everyone takes bribes, society collapses. So this is what duty-based ethics. Duty-based ethics. Then another theory is from Aristotle. This is virtue ethics. Aristotle believed that ethics is about building good habits and developing virtuous character, balanced character. having the qualities like courage, honesty, self-control, etc. And example here can be a police officer calmly resolving conflict instead of using unnecessary force. So this who can do? An officer who has courage and who has self-control over that. Third important theory, which is from Indian terrain. Now, one more thing I just want to tell all of you. See, a number of theories are from Western philosophy or Western world, but equal number of theories are also from Indian philosophy or Indian scenario. Now, whenever we are quoting in any answer Western theories, we also need to quote Eastern, that is Indian theories also. So which are Indian important theories that also have separately dealt, but here also few I will be mentioning. So now, most important of Indian theories is from Bhagavad Gita, Nishkam Karma. Now what Gita's teaching is, do your duty sincerely without selfish motives. So now sometimes they see this Niskam Karma or Gita, Bhagavad Gita's theory also reflects with deontology of Immanuel Kant. So sometimes deontology of Kant also equals to Gita's philosophy. So that also we should understand. But then there is a slight difference also. So do your duty without selfish. Administrators, this means working for public good, of course, not for personal interest or personal benefit. Now, what can be the example? Delivering welfare schemes honestly, even when no supervisor is watching. Now, illustration, let us see one practical illustration. A district magistrate refuses political pressure to transfer an honest officer. And a number of, this kind of situation comes not only for district magistrate, but even other cadre officers also. There will be political pressure for so many things. One example is for transfer, because some honest subordinate officer is there, he is creating problem for some political leader. So there will be pressure to transfer. Now, this example itself includes, what action will be taken by the district magistrate can show continuity or Gandhian adherence to conscience or Gita's idea of performing duty without fear. So all these can be covered in what action one takes. Now, one Indian theory have already taken Gita's Niskam Karma. Gandhian philosophy is also very, very important. So that also we should know, and separately I have already covered it. So you please go through that. Gandhian talisman, that whenever you are in doubt, think of the poorest person which you have seen, you will not decide wrongly. This was Gandhi told to bureaucrats and to others also. Now, second subheading or sub topic which we want to study is determinants of political behavior. What are the determinants of ethical behavior? What characters or what important factors determine the ethical behavior? Now, this can be in 4 broad groups. These factors can be basically subdivided in 4 broad groups. Now, what are those? Let us try to understand that. First is individual level determinants. These come from within the individual, how an individual is. So first is conscience, inner voice of the individual, that is called conscience. Gandhi called it still small voice within. So example can be when even nobody is watching, you return excess money mistakenly deposited in your account. So that can be one example. Now, second individual level determinant is moral reasoning. What is that? Your ability to think morally. So this is again individual based determinant. One thinker, Kohlberg, said people pass through 3 levels basically. First is fear of punishment. Second is desire for approval. And third is following universal ethical principles. So these are the three stages for any individual decision making. If you follow third one, universal ethical principle, without any fear of punishment, without desire for approval, then you are following higher moral reasoning. Now, third individual determinant is emotional intelligence. This is again a very, very important topic, and this is a separate topic also in the syllabus, which anyway has to be dealt in detail subsequently, but this also is one of important individual determinants. Now, EIE helps in understanding emotions not only of oneself and ourselves, but of others also, basically. And its components are self-awareness, empathy, self-control, relationship management. So administrators with high EI handle conflict well, avoid anger, and act fairly. Because this EI thing is very, very important. In fact, sometimes IQ and EI are compared with each other. And sometimes it is believed that an officer with higher EI is better than higher IQ. Even though IQ is also required for solving various problem or sticking to logic, but emotional intelligence is the requirement more when you start dealing with crisis situations. Suppose cyclone is there, earthquake is there, some riot is there, some conflicts are there. So you have to avoid anger. You have to control yourself. You have to control others' emotions, not only emotions of public, but emotions of subordinates also. You have to motivate them. So in all these situations, EI is very, very a critical component. Now, after individual determinants, let us see some very briefly socio-cultural determinants. Now, these are socio-cultural. These are second group of determinants which determine the ethical behavior of any individual or any, for that matter, civil servant, administrator. Now, these as I told, individual determinants are from within the individual. Now, the socio-cultural determinants come from environment in which a person grows. It may be a family, it may be school, it may be, anything. So let us try to understand that. For example, religion. It's very, very important socio-cultural determinant. It teaches values like compassion, honesty, and charity. You might have seen in almost every religion, these kind of uh, uh, values are embedded. In Sikhs, seva value is there, Christians, charity, Islamic zakat is there. So, this religion is one of the very, very important determinants. But sometimes rigid religious beliefs conflict with modern ethics also. So that also one has to be very, very careful. And this can happen in any religion. If some rigid beliefs are there, which are not in basically ethical in nature or not in welfare of society, that may conflict with modern ethical values. Culture, another important determinant. It shapes the individual behavior through traditions, festivals, family values, stories, community norms, etc. Now, for India, in our perspective, if you see, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is one important theory which is almost every student is told, almost every boy or girl in a family is told that entire world is your family. There is very, very high value ethical, highly rated ethical value. Second is ahimsa. It comes from Gandhi, it comes from Buddhism, it comes from Jainism. Then respect for elders, harmony and duty. So these values which come from culture, positive values promote ethical living. But there may be some negative values also, so that we should try to avoid. It's not that the only positive influence is there from religion as well as from culture. It can be sometimes negative influence also that we should try to minimize. Now, third is institutional determinants. One is we have studied individual, then socio-cultural, and now we are coming third, institutional determinants. Now, these are from systems and rules guiding a civil servant. These are from the formal institutions to which a civil servant is embedded. Now, first is constitutional values. Now, constitutional values, as you know, you might have read preamble, you might be knowing fundamental rights, directive principles, because all those chapters contain a number of ethical values, which may be liberty, equality, justice, fraternity. All these are constitutional values or constitutional morality, you can say. And usually Ambedkar is quoted with constitutional morality with these values, so that also we should remember while writing answers. Then there are civil service conduct rules. So central government for civil services has conduct rules. State governments also have their own conduct rules, which clearly define the boundaries. What a civil servant should do, what should not do. What if they do will become objectionable and action can be initiated against the civil servant. So these kind of civil service rules set boundaries of acceptable behavior. For example, corruption, no misuse of power, no unguided public correspondence, or you can say you cannot, without taking permission, you cannot criticize the running program or government programs, and all those things are included in the conduct rules. Then another is organizational culture. So if leaders behave ethically, others follow, because in any organization you enter, there will be senior officers. For example, if you enter in state government, there will be chief secretary, there will be secretaries, there will be principal secretary, and there are other senior officers. Now their behavior becomes a guide to junior officers. Similarly, in central government, there will be joint secretaries, additional secretaries, even cabinet secretaries. So all these guys, their behavior becomes a guide. So if they behave ethically, others follow. If they indulge in corruption, subordinates try to imitate them. Now, there are two reports, very, very important reports, which are usually quoted in various answers, theoretical answers, or even in case studies. One is Nolan Committee of UK. It outlines 7 ethical principles: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, oneness, openness, honesty, leadership. Similarly, Administrative Reforms Commission report is also there for India. So ARC report, that also you should study, and I have separately mentioned that also. ARC report also mentions a number of ethical values. So that also becomes a guide to civil servant. Then fourth category is situational determinants. Sometimes circumstances influence ethical decisions more than personal values. What are the reasons for this? Role conflict will be there. Emergency situations. There you will not be able, you will not have time basically to influence by other things, because situation is still very, very emergency like. Pressure from superiors will be there. Scarcity of resources will be there. Competing public demands will be there. So it may be very difficult to decide also. Now, just to give an example, a police officer avoids investigating a case involving his relative. Now, he wisely recuses himself to maintain fairness. Now, this is a very, very ethical kind of decision. If his relative is involved, what should he do? He should recuse himself. Otherwise, principles of natural justice will be violated. So if he recuses himself and says, no, some other officer, neutral officer should investigate, perhaps that will be more ethical a decision. Now, third subtopic, now let us try to understand what are the consequences of ethical and unethical conduct. Suppose somebody behaves ethically, what will be the result? Somebody behaves unethically, what will be the result? So ethical behavior or ethical conduct leads to, in any organization or in a civil services or for any civil servant, trust in institution, efficient and timely service delivery, positive organizational culture, better citizen satisfaction, improved national reputation, reduction in grievances and litigation. So all these and several others, these are examples, will be the result if the civil servants behave ethically. Now, before I go to this example, I just want to tell you, see, in case studies as well as in theoretical questions, particularly in theoretical questions, it is very, very important to quote live examples. But I keep on advising students, please do not quote any controversial example. So you have to basically prepare a list of non-controversial live examples of some good administrators, maybe in little previous history or maybe current officers, but it should be non-controversial. Otherwise, you risk of losing marks also. So please be careful. So now this example, E. Sridharan, ethical leadership, what it resulted? Delhi Metro became a global model of transparency because he was the main architect of Delhi Metro. Now, what unethical behavior leads to? Let us try to understand that also. It leads to corruption and nepotism, wasteful expenditure, policy failures, decline in morale of honest officers, public anger and protest, loss of trust in democracy. So all these will result if officers behave unethically. One example, Gopal gas tragedy, you might be knowing already. Their weak regulation, corporate negligence led to massive loss of life. And subsequently also, while compensation and other things also, there were a number of problems. Even people who were died, people who were injured, their compensation cases, a lot of mess was there. Now, what are various dimensions of ethics? This is another important subtopic in this. Now, there may be many, but 4 main dimensions we will be studying here. First is meta-ethics. Now, what is meta-ethics? It deals with the meaning of moral concepts. What are the questions included in this? What does good actually mean? Are moral values universal or subjective? Who are thinkers attached to this kind of ethics? Moore, G. Moore is there, David Hume is there. They are Western thinkers. Now, Indian parallel dharma as the fundamental moral order. So this may be covered in meta-ethics. Then second branch is normative ethics. Now, normative ethics tells how we should behave. Now, again, there may be a number, but 3 main approaches will be duty ethics of Kant, we have already seen. Duty-based ethics, deontology of Kant, follow moral rules. Then consequentialism of Mill, J.S. Mill and Bentham. They have given a theory of utilitarianism. Choose actions that produce greatest good of greatest number. Then virtue ethics, build your good character. This is from Aristotle, we have just now seen. Indian parallel is Gita's Niskam Karma, that is duty without selfishness or without desiring for results. The third is applied ethics. Now, this is ethics in real life. And there are accordingly a number of ethical theories, particularly to that, part of the life or part of the society, you can say. For example, there is medicine, business, technology, environmental ethics is there. Then medical ethics is there. Corporate ethics is there. So all these different kinds of applied ethics is there. In fact, these theories also have discussed in separate class, and videos are available on YouTube, so you can see there. Because I have taken up about 27 ethical theories, which can be applied in different case studies. So that is also quite important. So this applied ethics is part of that. Now, example can be, for example, bioethics, environmental ethics, public service ethics, and then, for example, corporate ethics, medical ethics is there. So on. All applied In every branch, media ethics is there. Nowadays, social media ethics is there. So all these are different branches of applied ethics, you can say. Now, Indian parallel, you can see Kautilya's Arthashastra. So he has given ethical duties of ruler and principles of just governance in ancient history. Then another is descriptive ethics. What it does, it studies actual behaviors and moral beliefs. For example, questions like how do people behave? Why do they act in a certain way? What values do society follow? For example, in Indian scenario, if you see Panchatantra stories are there, which describe human conduct in different situations, even giving examples of various animals behave, describe. Now, another subtopic which we want to discuss here is ethics in private and public relationship. This is again very, very important because public relationship is anyway uh, uh, any public administrator or any civil servant should be interested in. But private relationship also is equally important because if anybody mixes the two, the total administration fails. So private relationship is based on emotions, love, loyalty, compassion, etc. And where it is seen, family, friend, close relatives, etc. And if excessive private relationship is adhered to, what it happens is it may lead to favoritism if carried into official decisions. Public relationship is governed by basically rules, fairness, accountability, and transparency. We have already seen. We have discussed in brief also. And here there is no room for personal bias. So a public official must put role duty above personal feelings. And ultimately, any successful public servant or civil servant should balance both. So this is very, very important, balancing public and private. So any public servant must separate personal and official roles. This is very, very example. I mean, important. For example, a doctor who refuses to prioritize a relative during emergency treatment upholds fairness. So this is again very, very important thing. One has to balance both the roles, personal and official roles. Now, human values, there are some very, very important ethical human values which we learn from various ethical leaders or reformers or thinkers. Now, this I am giving just an example because then you can basically quote these examples also while writing theoretical answers. So, who are, I mean, basically Indian personalities we are quoting here because Western, most of you know, come to know, but Indian, I mean, personalities and their values are very, very important while writing theoretical answers because they will come as examples also. Some may come as live examples, some may be examples from recent history. So all these are from recent history. For example, Mahatma Gandhi, very often quoted. He resembles truth, non-violence, self-restraint, etc. And also compassion also. From Mahatma Gandhi comes compassion and empathy. These are very, very important values which are linked with him. Swami Vivekananda, strength, service, spirituality. Dr. Ambedkar, equality, justice, rationality, dignity, which is called constitutional morality. We have just now studied constitutional morality. So this is linked with Ambedkar. Then APJ Abdul Kalam, simplicity, integrity, dedication to nation. And Mother Teresa, compassion, selflessness. Vinoba Bhave, trusteeship, non-possession, social justice. Why these values matter in administration? Because they, I mean, once you follow these values, all these will automatically follow. You will stay grounded, you will resist corruption, you will treat citizens with dignity. Because any poor person approaches you or any rich person, you will treat with dignity both. Usually what we see, if some civil servant or officer is in position, if some rich fellow or some powerful fellow comes, he treats differently. If some poor person comes, they treat differently. So this is again a problem. So treat citizens with dignity, promote inclusive development, build public trust. Now, another important thing in this chapter, role of family, society, and education in inculcating values, because they are also very, very critical and important. Part of it we have already studied in socio-cultural determinants, but then this is very important. Therefore, we will read separately also how the education, society, and family influences the value building in any individual who becomes civil servant also subsequently. Now, family is, as you know, first school of ethics. If teaches, if your family values are strong, uh, definitely you will you will inculcate these values: honesty, respect, sharing, responsibility, self-discipline, etc. A supportive family produces emotionally stable children and later ethical officers. So this is again very, very important role for family. And society provides moral guidance through cultural norms, socio-cultural, we have already seen, festivals, caring communities, then social stories. Now, one sociologist, Durkheim, said morality is rooted in society's collective conscience. His quote. Now, Indian society, as we have already seen in earlier paragraphs, it promotes seva bhav, it promotes compassion, it promotes dharma, it promotes community living. Educational institutions, for example, schools and colleges or universities where you have studied, they shape critical thinking and civic responsibility. And National Education Policy 2020 includes ethics and compassion in curriculum itself. Then CSE is there. Life skill modules build, they build integrity. Then training institutions also, Lavasana is there. It provides real life ethical training for civil service training. And nowadays, even in-service training has been designed in such a way. You may be knowing, central government and every state, they are having training academies for civil servants. And usually in-service trainings keep on running there. And they include various ethical courses also. So there, basically, education turns moral lessons into lifelong ethical habits. So basically, it's not that only before entering the educational institutions helps. Even after entering, also training institutions do the same work. Now, this is just a very brief how to write high scoring answers. See, start with a crisp definition, then use thinkers, Kant, Aristotle, etc. from Western, Gandhi, Ambedkar, etc. This is example, so you can prepare the list. Add Indian context. This is very, very important. For example, Gita, Dharma, Shastra, etc. Use administrative examples, as I told, non-controversial examples. Apply ethical theories, whether it is duty-based, virtue, consequentialism, and conclude with an inspiring thought. So, for example, Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. So, this basically completes today's lecture. From next week, next class, again, we will take up some other thing. But meanwhile, I would also like to receive your suggestions so that accordingly we can take up whatever interests you and whatever is required by you. As I told, philosophy students were asking some PYQs to be taken up. So if you also feel, you please tell. If you want case studies to be, otherwise next topics anyway, because it's first topic. So there are, as you know, there are 8 topics including case studies in UPSC syllabus. So one by one I have planned to take up. So accordingly we can do. So thanks for joining today. Thank you everybody. Thank you.